Okay, hello and welcome back to the Land Rover Toolbox videos. I hope all you guys and girls are well and prepared for the next instalment of Td5 information. Right, so basically I have a few scanners and bits of test equipment on the bench here. Now, I can't tell you which is the best because it would be unfair to do so because none of them are absolutely brilliant. But basically I have a selection of readers as scanners on this bench here that I've been using. Some are available and some I actually own. And right on the end here in the red box we have an overgrown multimeter accompanied by a communal garden multimeter which is hidden. Right, so this components tester basically is what we would use after we've looked and scanned our vehicle to see if we have fault codes, so we can actually check the components before condemning them. Now this is actually a very expensive overgrown multimeter with lab scopes so you can see waveform, but basically a lot of the tests that we can do, we can talk to the ECM or any of the ECUs. If we can see live data, it will give us information on live data or a data stream. This is not always accurate because sometimes you'll find that the ECU has put in a substitute value. So it's always best to check the component at the component. So basically with scanners and readers, we're going to do 3 of these in this tutorial, and you can, if you're interested in the links, check out our videos. You can drop on to a link that's underneath this video and have a look at some of the facilities that the links or the Britpart links will actually give you for an interface tool. There's also lots of different types on the market, this one being a Chinese copy you can get from £60 off eBay, which is stolen. Basically the Chinese are selling this. You need to use the interface devices with a laptop and of course through your 16-pin DLC plug. DLC means Diagnostic Link Connector, which is the 16-pin plug you will find somewhere near the steering wheel on your vehicle, and it looks like this. Right, so this happens to be a little favourite of mine, is the Hawkeye Pro, and this is an all-in-one reader scanner, and it's open to all vehicles. The Pro is different from just the Hawkeye. Basically this can do ECU changes, and I'll show you here the tuning menu on the ECU. You can either set it for the Defender or the Disco, manual Europe, rest of the world, or for Auto Japan or Auto rest of the world. So we have some good options here. There is a little bit more to tuning up or setting an ECU, and I'll show you how to do this in a tutorial coming on the channel. Right, so we also have the LR2 iCarsoft, which also is for plugging it directly into our Land Rovers. The downside here, of course, is that it doesn't have as many facilities as the more expensive ones, because basically you are stuck for DTCs or trouble codes and looking at live streams, and the data stream is basically digital from the ECU and it hasn't got graphs, it is just numerical. The facilities you have here is EOBD2 reading, or you have the manufacturer's information. There is a difference. EOBD is different to what you can do inside the manufacturer's settings. This isn't really a tool to stick your nose up at because it covers the whole range of Land Rover vehicles, and the newer they get, the more facilities you can actually use on this tester on the vehicle. So it's good value for money. I've actually chosen the Ethos tech from Snap-on because I can actually afford to pay for this weekly. Okay, now the difference with Snap-on, they actually believe that graphing information or your live data streams is you can look to see if there's any dropout or glitches, or to see how voltages are working. This is your throttle position sensor, and the 2 voltages are mirroring each other, which is exactly correct. Right, so the Hawkeye Pro, it gives out a numerical data stream feed or live data. The downfall is here you can't see any dropout or glitches with numerical information, but you can see if something's not working correctly. This MAF sensor basically is working, I just had the ignition switched off then. Okay, so EOBD and OBD2, this is actually a very deep subject, but it basically covers emissions control. Now, we cannot get an EOBD link with the Td5 on this age of vehicle because EOBD for diesels really didn't come about until 2004, and then it took off quite quickly. So this vehicle basically with every reader won't give you an EOBD information. EOBD information actually is live data and it's not processed the same way as a manufacturer's data is. But with the LR2, the iCarsoft OBD2, this has good facilities, and newer cars, this will launch straight into it with no problem. OBD or EOBD is basically all to do with emissions control, and that will be only on your powertrain, which is your engine. Okay, so this system here is looking through all the protocols to see if it can find one to communicate with the vehicle or com with the vehicle, and basically this is going to fail all the way through because this has no facility on discovery at this age for EOBD or OBD2. I'm just using an example here. This happens to be a Peugeot. However, I can get into the EOBD side of it, and it's giving me information here, engine speed, it'll cover fuel systems, the O2 sensors, etc, etc. Right, so we'll go back to the scanner side, and we're going into the manufacturer's information now. And this is where you need a scanner that will cover your vehicle. And I'm just making sure that this can communicate with the ECM on the Td5, which it has no problem at all. So we'll go and have a look at codes, which is DTCs. And what we have here is a list of trouble codes. Now this is from the Snap-on Ethos list, all presented in one go, whereas the Hawkeye Pro, we have to scroll through them. Basically, other than the fuel temperature sensor, they both got the same faults, including the EGR valve stuck shut, which basically is not even fitted. With the iCarsoft, that pulled up near enough the same codes. The inlet air temperature and pressure keeps coming up, or ambient pressure circuit fault logged as low, and the anomaly here is driver demand 3 fault. We don't know exactly what this means yet, but we'll have to look into it. Right, so some of you might know which one this is. This is the 3 Amigos, traction control, here descent, and ABS. If you have an ABS problem, then all 3 of these lights comes on. So with the iCarsoft breaking into the ABS ECU, we'll have a look at the DTCs, or digital trouble codes, or diagnostic trouble codes, and what we're looking at is engine speed input signal intermittent or missing. This is the ECU sends information to the ECU on the ABS system, and it comes up in the other 2 as well, so we do actually have a problem here. Next thing to do is work a way that we can test this to confirm a fault and then rectify it. I'm just going to show you here another fault that does occur on the modulator on the Discovery 2s is the shuttle valves. And I'm pushing the pedal down and then letting it off, and you can see by the graph that both of the shuttle valves are opening and shutting. But just for demonstration purposes, you can see how live data or graphing will show you what works and what isn't working. Okay, well, I don't expect you to rush out and buy any of this stuff, because all I'm doing is showing you certain options that you can get. Now, with this Ethos, they have considered that the suspension system seems to be more of a problem than replacing ECUs, because there isn't a facility on this to actually replace an ECU on the update on this scanner. However, what I'm doing here with the suspension, I'm just rocking the vehicle, and you can see on the right height sensor, it's moving. Okay, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you can see the movement there. So that's given me an indication that the sensor's working. And also the system somehow is still switching on and off. Okay, this will give you all the information that you need. For instance, if you've still got airbags, if the system is working or what parts of the system are not working. Well, this is actually on coils, but there's still data coming through. Now, what I want to show you again, is the, I'll just get to it, I'll just scroll through, this does take a bit of time, is the ride height left and right. Okay, you can see it's picking up the movements. So I'll get outside the vehicle and show you. This is the ride height sensors. They're both potentiometers, and they do sense very small movements, and it adjusts the suspension as it reacts. Okay, so I'll rock the vehicle here like a chimpanzee, gorilla, and you can see here that the movement will affect the ride height sensors. Now, presuming that they're set correctly, what we can look at here is that the ride height on one side and both sides have reacted, and we have a minimum and maximum value. So this is just one of these things that you would look out for when you're choosing a reader or a scanner. Now, there's a lot to this diagnostics, so I hope this has been helpful for you, just a slight insight.